Welcome back from that short break. You're still watching New Vision TV News. We now look at what's making headlines in business with Nkugute as she continues to analyze the budget of 1990 to 1991 with Paul Busharizi.
Well, so the government then legalized Forex bureaus. Forex bureaus have not always been here. They weren't there until 1990. So when we think so, this means that people were free to, if they met certain qualifications, to open Forex bureaus and trade in foreign exchange. There were great concerns at the time by quite a few people that foreign exchange is going to flee the country and all that kind of business. But it has turned out very well. It's kept the Forex value at a fair rate, a market determined rate, and fluctuations were less wilder than those days. Those days the government, like I remember, I think it was the previous budget, 89-90 government raised the dollar rate from, I think, was it 60 shillings to about 140, twice, doubled it in just an announcement, which has taken a year. Well, the economics was not supporting the shilling. The economy was supporting the shilling. But you see, the problem is it takes a move by the government at the end of the year, yet activity has been happening. So by liberalizing Forex, the shilling would move with activity.
Yes.
You don't get a shock that one day your dollar is 60 shillings and then the next day it's 140. It can be disastrous for business.
Wait, were those concerns addressed then?
Yes, they were, because now you've left the currency to flow to the market. So it's unlikely, unless you've really had a disastrous economic something, that the currency is going to double like this as it was then. Because then the minister will stand on the budget and say, from tonight to today, the thing is 140. In the morning it was 60, 140. It just messes up all your calculations. Yeah.
Well, there's also another interesting occurrence. The fish industry came into being this year. How did that happen?
Well, of course, people were always fishing on our lakes and rivers and stuff, but that was the year that Masese fish factory in Jinja was commissioned.
Was that the very first one?
It was the very first major one of that kind thing, and government had spent $300 million at the time to bring it into production. It was expected to process about 60,000 tons of fish. But the interesting story was that these were monies, I think, by the Italian government that would have gone back to Italy, and we had to find something to use them for before they went back. So the president, it's a story he likes to tell, the president suggested Masese, and that was the beginning of our big fish industries.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how was it doing?
I think, well, it did. Unfortunately, it was a government company, so you can imagine what happened.
You say unfortunately.
Well, government's not it can't do business. Not only this governments don't do business, so it failed.
So,
but it set the ball rolling for other private sector guys to come into the thing. Yeah.
And did it help at all?
Yeah, so it created a fish industry, which now we have hundreds of millions of dollars in exports from, which were not there previously. So it was useful.
And how did the budget then go?
Well, the budget, as I said earlier,
compared to the previous.
Yeah, the previous. I mean, this was the 1991 budget. He was looking to raise 206 billion shillings for revenue, and to spend 320 billion. The difference was going to come from grants and loans from donors. Yes.
Oh well, thank you, Paul. For more of these analysis, go to our website www.newvision.co.ug.
Thank you, Lynn. We now take a look at our Daily Pal of Africa series, which is Lake Nkugute. It is a crater lake in Rubirizi district in the Bunyaruguru County. Besides its amazing additions to the district, its astonishing Africa shape has left many referring to it as Lake Africa. Now, Lake Nkugute is associated with many tales, but what a non-resident will tell you after his or her visit is that Uganda is endorsed with incredible features, and this lake is among them. An area view clearly shows an African map, but this is Lake Nkugute. This lake is found in Rubirizi district in western Uganda. It is among the 52 crater lakes found in the Nyinambuga crater lakes region in the same district. It is estimated that about 10,000 years ago, the crater lakes in Nyinambuga crater lakes region were formed as a result of volcanic activity. This was intensive heat and pressure in the upper mantle or interior in the earth, which was brought about by geochemical reaction and radioactivity in the earth. After the occurrence of gaseous explosions that blew off the surface rocks, a round-shaped and fairly flat depression was formed. As time went by, rainwater filled the depressions, hence the formation of crater lakes. Unlike other lakes with less vegetation, Nkugute is much blessed with crops, eucalyptus trees, and its water is used for various activities by the locals. Some engage in fishing, not forgetting farming. The tourists who come to explore this lake engage in hiking, swimming, and sunbathing. Settlers have also embraced this locality because of its favorable weather. For more Pearl of Africa stories, visit our website, which is newvision.co.ug/Pearl of Africa. Our newspaper, The Sunday Vision, is also another home of adventures. Grab your copy every Sunday for Pearl of Africa stories. We now take a look at our special report today. Now, did you know that if all the coffins required to bury the people killed in mock crashes on Uganda's roads were laid on the ground, they would cover a distance of 7 kilometers? That is because some 10 people are killed daily on the road, mostly due to the defective vehicles and reckless driving. New Vision TV looks more closely at the carnage that claims a horrendous number of lives. According to a United Nations report of 2018, more than 3,000 people were killed. In another report, 10,000 injured in 13,244 road accidents in 2017. That is according to the annual Traffic and Road Safety Report released last year. Nearly half of the dead were pedestrians and 918 were motorcyclists. Chris Kaganzi, a resident of Ntinda, a Kampala suburb, is one of the thousands who lost their dear ones to road crashes in 2017. He lost his wife and child as he was driving from Jinja to Kampala, Uganda. With Kaganzi were 3 adults and 2 children aged 3 and 4 months, and one of them was of his friend, who was also his best man on his wedding in 2016. Initially, Kaganzi and his family had had a good day and indeed enjoyed driving on the road with his family, but along the way, the dreadful happened.
I was driving from Jinja, heading to Kampala, and we were having a good journey, normal drive, you know, going back home, and you're not expecting anything to go wrong. You think you have everything under control. Yeah, so ahead of me were a couple of course, vehicles, because it was steady traffic flow. You can imagine you have a vehicle like 50 meters ahead of you, and there is enough space that in case someone overtakes, they can come and take the place ahead of you. Yeah, so I was driving about 60, 70 kilometers per hour. Yeah, so this other side of the vehicles coming from Kampala, it was almost empty. So a truck was coming from the opposite direction. I think it carried some merchandise. Yeah, so somehow this guy found his way in our lane. So now what was happening to him, I don't know.
Kaganzi had his seatbelt fastened, but the rest of the people in the car were not in any way protected from the accident that shook since their belts were not on. Fiona Kaganzi, his wife, died on the spot, and the rest of the victims sustained serious injuries.
When the accident happens and you are at 70, you know what happens. you know. So because, okay, me, I had a belt on, so I was more restrained. But these people had to fly from their seats, and they had to knock on anything that was before them. So for my wife, she hit on the dashboard, of course, and the baby. So you can imagine her weight and the baby. So they hit the dashboard. But I think she tried in her mind, you know, mothers have those reflex actions. She tried to save the baby. So for her, she hit the dashboard, but the baby, okay, fell where you'd find your feet. Yeah, so the baby fell there. But I think before he went in there, he must have also banged the dashboard somehow. Yeah, so these people in the back seat were almost like sleepy. So after the accident, the car was just silent. And it was me yelling on top of my voice. This vehicle had almost deformed because the steering wheel was very close to me, but of course I did not reach it because somehow the belt tightens in the event of a crash. Yeah, so the next thing is people gathering, and the traffic now is gathered already, collected, and many people surrounding. And you can imagine those people, about 80%, they want to carry whatever they can find, but also they are good people who want to help. Yeah, so they had to break the doors and remove these people. And of course me, they had to cut me out because the car was more pressed towards me.
Later, people gathered and cut the victims out of the completely deformed car and then drove them to Kaolo Hospital, where they received only first aid. Kaganzi was lucky that he got someone who took care of him during the time when his family members had not yet come. Road crashes can actually be avoided, especially if people do not cross the roads abruptly. This means that one has to look from side to side before they cross so that they are not knocked down.
Make sure we have walkways which are a bit raised compared to the motorway. We have flyovers in the towns and other places to avoid people crossing in the motorway. And also, we should also look at the border riders, how they need training. They also need to know how to ride. I mean, they also need to know the road signs. And other drivers in other vehicles must also respect these border riders or motorcyclists.
In Uganda, pedestrians remain the most vulnerable road users, constituting 40% of roadkill. In 2016, 1,354 pedestrians lost their lives, some of them being children knocked down on their way to school.
The biggest number of people category are pedestrians. Mainly these accidents actually happen in built up areas. And pedestrians, I mean those people who walk on foot, are the biggest casualty. Then followed by border, either riders, but the borders have either passengers or riders. Those are the biggest categories. And if our people down there, they must know that all people who die out of accidents, all categories, even if they are added, they can't add up to the number of pedestrians who are killed.
However, motorcycle crashes account for the highest number of victims, as people killed in motorcycle accidents between 2011 and 2016 doubled from 570 to 1,170. In 2015, 5,543 riders were seriously injured.
If we have the right drivers trained, if we have vehicles which are in good mechanical conditions, if the road designs whatever the crashes normal, wherever the crashes take place, are redressed and the signage put in place. And if all Ugandans, whether you have a vehicle or not, whether you are dealing in scrap or not, know that actually the road furniture is a property of everyone. If you feel that you cannot be involved in an accident, your son can, your relative may, any other person close to you may get involved in an accident.
Parents are advised not to give their children to border cyclists, especially those below 5 years.
Also, as parents, stop giving your children who are going to school to one motorcycle and you find 3 behind, 1 in front, very early in the morning.
Charles Sebablinda, the spokesperson Road Traffic Directorate, says there is need to carry out sensitization by all stakeholders in the country.
Whether you have a vehicle or not, whether you are dealing in scrap or not, know that actually the road furniture is a property of everyone. If you feel that you cannot be involved in an accident, your son can, your relative may, any other person close to you may get involved in an accident. So if we, first of all, you see there are 3 things. Enforcement, police does what it is supposed to do.
Uganda loses 3% of her GDP to road accidents annually, especially if it is a prominent business person.
3% of the GDP is lost. 3% of our GDP. GDP, that's our gross domestic product. So 3% is lost. If only, when you look at that money, I think this is billions of money.
According to the 2018 Global Status Report on Road Safety released by the World Health Organization, Uganda loses 3,503 people to road crashes. Rwanda loses 593 lives. Kenya loses 2,965 lives to road crashes. Tanzania loses 3,256 lives. Southeast Sudan loses 130 people. And Burundi loses 112 lives to road crashes annually. This report was compiled by Nora Mutasi for New Vision TV. That is all we had for you. Thank you for watching. You can get the full special report on our website, which is newvision.co.uk/video. You can also follow us on social media. Facebook is The New Vision, Twitter is @NewVisionWire, Instagram is @NewVisionWire, and our YouTube channel is New Vision TV. Catch up with me on my Twitter handle. I am Rothy the Voice. Thank you for watching. Have a good night. But we end with a fact file.